Welcome back once again, all of my low carb friends, and for those of you who are here for the first time, welcome. Today I have another very easy keto bread recipe for you. Today I am going to show you how to make keto hot cross buns. You got Easter coming up in a few days, and hot cross buns are a tradition for many people with their Easter meal. But of course, hot cross buns are good anytime, anywhere. So if you want a printable version of this recipe, you can check out my website at janet'sdeliciouslowcarbkitchen.com. You can find a printable version of this recipe and other goodies there for you. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see lots of easy, delicious, low-carb keto recipes, make sure you click that subscribe button and click the notification bell that's right next to the subscribe button. That way you can be notified every time I put out new videos. And if you are a music lover, make sure you check out the link in the description to my other YouTube channel, Inspirational Songs with Janet. I've posted another new song there, so make sure you check that out and subscribe to that channel also. And if you would like to help support this channel, make sure you scroll down into the description of the video. You'll see some affiliate links. Anytime you purchase anything using those affiliate links, a small portion of your purchase will go to me and help support the channel. So while you do all that, let's get cooking. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Line a large baking sheet with some parchment paper or a silicone baking mat, or you can also bake these in a 6-inch round cake pan. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. In a small bowl, combine 5 grams or around 1 tablespoon of whole psyllium husk. You want this to be whole psyllium husk. And 30 milliliters or around 2 tablespoons of hot water. And you do want this to be hot. It'll help soften the psyllium husk so that the psyllium husk can become sticky. Use a fork and stir the husk and the hot water together for about 30 seconds or just until the texture starts to become gummy and a little bit stretchy. Then set it aside while you get your remaining ingredients together. In a large mixing bowl, combine 56 grams or around a half cup of coconut flour, 8 grams or around 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 25 grams or around 2 tablespoons of the brown sugar substitute of your choice. I'm using brown monk fruit sweetener, 25 grams or around 2 tablespoons of the granulated sugar substitute of your choice. I'm using granulated monk fruit sweetener. If you don't want to use a 50-50 blend, you can use all brown sugar substitute or all granulated sugar substitute. I personally prefer the taste and texture of the 50-50 blend. Add 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a 1/2 teaspoon of allspice. You can change or adjust the spices according to your personal taste. I also like to throw in a couple teaspoons of instant dry yeast just because I like a little bit of a yeast flavor in my bread recipes. I've told you guys many times that coconut flour does not rise very much even with yeast. I use the dry yeast strictly for flavor. Sift all the dry ingredients together until they're fully combined and there are no lumps. Add 3 large room temperature eggs, 113 grams or around a 1/2 cup of room temperature sour cream or Greek yogurt. Then take your husk and water mixture that you stirred up. It should be nice and clumpy and gooey, and add that to your bowl also. And if you want to, you can add a 1/2 teaspoon of apple extract and a 1/2 teaspoon of orange extract. Traditionally, once you stir together your dough, you would fold in some raisins or some currants, but those are not low carb or keto friendly. So the apple extract and the orange extract just kind of gives it a little bit of that fruity type taste to it that you would be missing from the raisins or the currants. But that's up to you whether you want to throw that in or not. I like to put it in personally. Stir everything together for about 1 minute or until everything is fully combined and a dough is formed. Scrape down the sides of the bowl and push the dough to the center of the bowl. Then knead the dough in the bowl for about 1 minute or until it's smooth and can form a smooth ball. The dough is going to be moist and a little bit sticky, but it shouldn't be completely sticking to your fingers. You should be able to easily release it from your fingers. If you want to, you can fold in some berries of your choice. As I already said, traditionally, you would fold in raisins or currants, but again, not keto, so we don't do that. Let the dough sit at room temperature for about 15 minutes so it can absorb the extra moisture and the psyllium husk mixture can really start settling in. After 15 minutes, your dough is still going to be a little bit moist and slightly sticky, but it should have absorbed a good portion of that extra moisture, and you should be able to easily shape it. Divide the dough into 7 equal portions. It's roughly around a 1/4 cup for the size of each portion. Roll each portion into a smooth ball and place it onto your prepared baking sheet. Now you can bake these two different ways. You can either space them apart a little bit on a large baking sheet, or you can place them side by side in a round 6-inch cake pan. The only difference basically is once they're baked, the shape's going to be a little bit different. When you cook them side by side in the round pan, once they're baked, they're a little bit more of the traditional hot cross bun shape. Whereas when you bake them on a baking sheet, they spread out just a little bit. They still rise and you still get that nice puff, but they do spread out a little bit so you have them wider instead of taller. I've made them both ways and they both taste good, but personally I prefer the baking sheet method because the rolls have more room to breathe and so they can spread a little bit. That makes them a little less dense. When they're cooked side by side, they're still good and they still have a nice moist texture to them, but they are a little bit heavier because they're compacted together when you're baking them. So either way, whether you've put them on a baking sheet or in your round pan, once they're all put on the sheet or the pan, use the palm of your hand and just very slightly flatten the tops of each one of the rolls. This just helps them keep their shape a little bit better. Place the buns in your preheated oven. Bake at 350 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or until the buns are golden. Now, if you're doing the side-by-side round pan method, you might need to cook them a little bit longer, closer to 30 to 35 minutes, just because when they're compacted together, they take a little bit longer to bake. Once the buns are done baking, remove them from your oven, then let them sit on the baking sheet or your round pan, whichever one you use. Let them sit for about 10 minutes so they can firm up really well. After about 10 minutes, remove the buns from the baking sheet or the pan and transfer them to a wire rack. Then allow them to cool for at least another 15 to 20 minutes before you apply any icing. For the icing, you just whisk together the powdered sugar substitute of your choice and a little bit of keto milk until you get your desired thickness. I usually do about 3 tablespoons of powdered monk fruit allulose blend or any powdered sugar substitute and 1 teaspoon or so of keto milk. I always tell you my favorite keto milk is coconut milk. Just whisk the keto milk and the powdered sugar substitute together until a paste forms. Again, you can make this however thick or thin you want, but you do want it to be thick enough that you can pipe it or spoon it in a cross shape over the buns. So once the paste is made, then pipe the icing in a cross shape on the top of each one of the buns. If you don't have a piping bag, you can just take a spoon and drizzle it in a cross shape over the top of each one of the buns. Then let the buns sit for another 10 to 15 minutes so the icing can firm up. After the icing has firmed, you can serve these immediately. If you do have any leftovers, you can store them in an airtight container at room temperature for up to 3 days, or in an airtight container in your refrigerator for up to 1 week, or in an airtight container in your freezer for up to 1 month. Eat and enjoy. And that's the recipe of the day. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you click that thumbs up like button, click that subscribe button, leave me a comment if you want to. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make, and I'll do what I can to get those out there for you. And as always, keep cooking.